for Fanboy Explosion, a podcast of awesomeness, a chance to grow your mind. Your fingers are now playing Fanboy Explosion.
Hello, and welcome to Fanboy Explosion. I'm your host, Seth Turner.
That's not true! That's impossible!
Search your feelings, Cameron. You know this to be true.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're Seth. Hey, I'm Cameron.
Welcome to Fanboy Explosion. So, Star Wars Rebels. My friend, this TV show, just wrapped up season 1 last week on Disney XD, and this finale was action-packed. I have to say, they said "Who will fall" was the marketing line going into
Someone
this.
literally
and they
fell.
were right. He literally fell.
They literally did fall. That was not false advertising. So yeah, we
Yep.
wanted this episode of the podcast, special edition. We just wanted to talk about the Star Wars Rebels finale and the season as a whole. We're big Star Wars fans here. Rebels is kind of paving the way for this new era of Star Wars before the movies arrive. The first movie arrives in December. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit. So we'll start with the...
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yes.
There will be spoilers.
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk in depth about the season finale and the season as a whole. If you have yet to watch the season finale, turn off your internets and...
come back when you finish it.
And do not listen. And then come back to us after you've watched the finale. And you can, listen to our opinions on it. But, okay, now that that's out of the way, let's go full on into spoiler territory. Seth, also Darth Turner, maybe that's what I should call you for this duration of this podcast. What did you...
But you can just call me Darth. Just call me Darth.
You can't just call people Darth. Like, that only one person can just be called Darth. Like, Darth Vader's first name is Darth. Yes, but it's a title given to the Sith. No, okay, you can't just call people Darth. You are not Darth. You are Turner.
But Darth Vader's the best, man. Like he is the character that got me into Star Wars, which is hands down my biggest franchise.
I know. I'm just not gonna refer to you as
that title. You're not gonna call me Darth. All right, we'll take that. So,
but yeah, so watching the finale, what did you think? What were your impressions of the finale specifically? Did you think it wrapped up the season overall pretty well?
The finale was it was action packed, man. That thing was I was not expecting it to be as exciting as it was, but I was also shocked at some of the things. Now here we go. We're going deep into spoiler territory. I was very shocked that they killed off the Inquisitor, like straight up, or they appeared to, like he was. He did this lightsaber battle with Kanan, and it very much was an episode 1 kind of vibe to it.
It very lightsaber. Felt episode 1, taken straight
Master
from
and Padawan, and so it was very much a great lightsaber duel in and of itself. But there was also some really great character moments with Kanan as he kind of like walked this line between the dark side and what it means to be a Jedi. Like, when he sees his Padawan supposedly die, he's like, he could easily give in to the fear and anger, but instead he harnesses that as like a desire to stop evil. And so he truly becomes a Jedi master, because it's revealed in that episode that he kind of has this dark past of running away. Like when Order 66 was executed, he ran away because his master told him to, and he's always kind of felt bad about it because he is a survivor. So it was cool to kind of see him like become a Jedi Master again. But I have to say, man, the Inquisitor was a sinister dude. And up till the very end, which he let go himself. That was also something that was very strange
like, F you,
to
Kanan.
me. Like he was like,
I don't even need you to kill me.
There are things. Yeah, and I think it's implied that the Inquisitor is a direct report to Darth Vader. As the hunt for the Jedi continues.
The Inquisitor
I don't know if he's
is
like
almost,
an apprentice.
If I can refer to a terrible piece of Star Wars history real quick, the Inquisitor is kind of what Star Killer from Force Unleashed was,
No, we don't
where
talk about. We don't
Starkiller
give that
was
life.
supposed to be this. Yeah, he was supposed to be Vader's like right hand man who would hunt down the remaining Jedi. That's basically what the Inquisitor was, except like way more evil and not as ridiculously powerful. But if just for a refresher, if you already forgot what happened in the finale, Kanan is captured. He's on a Star Destroyer, just guarded by other Star Destroyers. Tarkin and the Inquisitor are on this Star Destroyer, and they're like torturing Kanan. And so the Rebel crew, they undergo this mission to save him. So that's basically the setup. And then he gets free. And that's when that lightsaber battle happens. Going to the lightsaber battle specifically, yes, very episode 1, where they're on these like kind of catwalks. People get like knocked down to the lower catwalks, and yes, he has the double-bladed spinning lightsaber, so he's fighting 2 people on each side, or 1 person on each side. Very Qui-Gon Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. What I thought was really cool is because when Kanan, when he comes in, like Kanan doesn't have his lightsaber, the Inquisitor has it, but Ezra has his lightsaber. So he takes Ezra's lightsaber and he uses, Ezra's lightsaber has like the stun gun built in. I thought it was really cool how he was like shooting at the Inquisitor, and then he would like come in for blade attacks. I thought that was cool. It was we'd never seen that before. It was like a unique fighting style, and it fits with Kanan's character well, who is he's basically Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, he's very ragtag.
Yeah, he's this like kind of scoundrel, not scoundrel, I guess, but yes, he's like an unconventional Jedi, which I think a lot of Jedis during this time period kind of have to be. He doesn't want to show he's a Jedi, so he uses blasters. He's, he hasn't given up on the Force, but he's not the prim and proper Jedi that we've known in the Old Republic. So it was cool to see him blend those two things together.
Yeah.
And
it fulfilled a childhood dream of mine, because I always thought it would be awesome to have a Jedi who uses a blaster and a lightsaber.
Yeah, dual wield.
And so when they had revealed that stun blaster lightsaber combo, I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. And it was awesome.
That was really cool. And of course they escape and all that stuff, which I'll say we're just gonna jump straight to it. The big reveal is at the end of this episode. It's like the final 5 minutes of this episode where like everything goes down, and they all escape, and like basically a rebel fleet comes in and saves them, and they're like, who are these people who have come to get us out of our crappy situation? And
now, bear in mind, the whole season you've had this mysterious character, Fulcrum.
Yes.
Who has been working, kind of with them, but you don't know much about him.
They've been taking missions from Fulcrum,
yeah.
And there have been hints that there is like a wider kind of group of rebels throughout the area, but none of them are connected, really. So this rebel fleet swoops in, and lo and behold, Fulcrum is actually Ahsoka from Star Wars Clone Wars. I didn't see that coming. I can say I didn't see that coming. I knew Fulcrum was gonna be like, it was like a rebel leader. I knew that. I knew they were trying to keep that identity secret for some reason, but I did not expect it to be Ahsoka. I did not expect her to show up so soon. I was hoping that she would appear in Rebels at some point. Was not expecting this. What did you think about her being kind of like this leader of the rebel movement at this point?
It was shocking. I didn't expect to ever see Ahsoka again. I thought that they kind of tied that bow up nicely at the end of Clone Wars, but it was, I would have to say, it's a delightful surprise. They could have come up with another Jedi to be that, like an original character, but I think using Ahsoka, they're gonna be able to pull from Clone Wars for a lot of her experience. I'm sure we'll have things that happen in Clone Wars that affect her now. I thought it was awesome. I'm excited to see that character kind of play out.
Well, yeah, because you can tell she's much more like mature now. She's grown.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just look at her, she's not a kid anymore. She's actually, and so visually it's very interesting to see her again. But yeah, that it's really, and she was with Bail Organa as well, who, Bail Organa, of course, is a prominent member of the rebel group. And it's kind of revealed that they came to they came to save Kanan and his group. Basically, they decided it was worth revealing themselves to save Kanan. Which, I don't know, like, this will lead into, like, kind of my general, like, gripes, I think, with season 1, is that it's all just kind of, like, very, I don't know, the writing, I don't think, is just not, it's very hit or miss with me sometimes. Like, it's like the big finale, and, Ahsoka shows up, and they're like, oh, okay, we don't know who you are, why did you come save us? And it's, like, cheesy stuff, like, hope. It just doesn't feel very. It doesn't. I know this is a kid's show, so it's gonna kind of sound stupid when I say this, but the whole season, it hasn't felt very, like, mature to me. It's very much felt like a kid's show, which I understand it's for kids, but you can do a kid's show and still make it intelligent and have good writing and have complex ideas. And so far, season 1 didn't really deliver that to me. Now, I know the creators of the show can do it. They showed that in Clone Wars. The last several seasons of Clone Wars, excellent. A lot of fresh new ideas, a lot of good writing, a lot of nuance in, like, who is good, who is bad. There's more depth it adds more depth to the universe. I think my problem with Rebels season 1 is that it doesn't add any depth to Star Wars. It's the Star Wars we've already seen. It's the Empire is 100% evil scumbags. The Rebels are 100% the super good people that are giving the universe hope and freeing the oppressed. And that's what Star Wars is, right? But I think the expanded universe has spoiled us over the years that there can be some gray, there can be some in between, there can be some more interesting dynamics than just, the Empire is the worst people ever and the Rebels are the best people ever. And the show has so far just been very content with playing it safe, I guess is what I would call it, and feeling like a kid's show.
I would agree with you.
Like,
there.
One thing I compare it to is, I don't know if this makes a lot of sense, but I compare it to Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. Those are both kids shows, but they are so good because they have so much depth and, like, complexity and deal with actual, like, problems, and the characters aren't black and white. Even, like, really evil, like, even all the villains of Legend of Korra, for example, they're like humans. And they have, like, motivations, and you understand some, like, where they're coming from, even if they're kind of batshit crazy. But you don't really get that in this show. You just get, like, oh, everyone who is on the Empire is basically just buttheads, for no other reason than they want to be buttheads, it seems. So I think that's kind of my gripe. I mean, what did you think overall of the whole season?
Season wide, I'm gonna agree with you on the stance of it does feel like it plays on the safe side of everything, and I think it's doing that to maintain that family kind of status. But one of the things that I always bear in mind with shows like this, that are trying to appeal to the family, but there's also a dedicated audience like this as well. And you saw this in Legend of Korra specifically because expectations were high, because people were so attached to that Avatar brand, the characters. The expectations were very high, but they had to strike that balance. And you can go one of two ways. And I think using Legend of Korra as an example, like Legend of Korra, they took more liberties and they kind of stretched out on a limb, whereas Star Wars Rebels played a little bit closer. You're right. Like, they didn't get into any of the Imperial, like, mindset. It's like Imperials are bad, no questions asked. Like,
Like,
So,
we didn't get to see why they were bad. I think is my gripe. It was just like, they are. It's just like, you don't really get to see why they're bad other than that, like, they obviously kind of have control, and that's about it, really. Like, you don't get to see why everyone is supposed to hate them, I think is my problem.
I mean, when the show the beginning of season 1 was real rough for me. I didn't even think that I would stick on.
Definitely over time.
The show improved definitely. To me, when Grand Moff Tarkin showed up, that was when I started to see like the Empire being mean, like being evil, and not just like the silly patrol officers that, you know, can't catch these darn rebels. Like,
that's kind of true. Yeah,
it just kind of felt like Dukes of Hazzard. You know, it's like these miscreants up to no good, but they're just doing it for lulz. You know, it's not like
there weren't any.
You know,
stakes.
there's not anything.
It didn't feel very.
There were no
like
stakes,
there was
and I talked about this in a previous podcast. But that scene where Grand Moff Tarkin has the 2 Imperial officers in there, like the fat guy and the skinny guy, and they're like the bumbly, and he just straight up says, "Inquisitor, murder those dudes." And he looks at the I can't remember this guy's name, but the commander,
he's like
who's
been
stationed there.
The series.
Yeah, and he's like failure will be met with, you know, death, basically. So things got really serious and dark, and then at that point I think the Empire was a good villain. And I'm glad that Grand Moff Tarkin stuck through the series, like, or through the season. Like,
so
I'm glad
he was like in the last 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
Yeah, the final arc. But at that point, it got much better for me. But overall, I think the goal for this season that they were trying to do is they were trying to create some character, like basically get us caring about these characters, specifically Ezra and Kanan. I think they did a good job of that. I was honestly very surprised that Kanan was not killed off. When they said who will fall, I was like, ooh, are they going to kill off Kanan?
Nope, it was the Inquisitor.
It was the Inquisitor. So let me ask you this. Do you think that, and before you say, no, they don't do that, remember, they brought Darth Maul back, so nothing is beyond their creative grasp. Do you think they'll bring the Inquisitor back at this point in the series? Your personal
Even
thoughts.
with you just saying what you said, my mind instantly went to, well, Darth Maul never came back, and he died in a very similar way to like the Inquisitor. So I think the Inquisitor will stay dead, even though you literally just told me that Darth Maul came back in Clone Wars.
I needed to remind you because it's so forgettable.
I kind of wiped that whole
exile.
Yeah, I kind of wiped that whole thing from my memory. It brings me pain to know that Darth Maul, with living on hatred and building robot spider legs out of scrap metal, is actually Star Wars canon. But, well, you know, whatever. We're going to go with it.
What about his buddy? Savage Opress.
Please stop. Please. I can't handle these names. But I think...
Will the Inquisitor come back?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be dead. He could come back, but... I mean, I think if he doesn't, like, I don't necessarily want him to come back, but I feel like he was wasted. I feel like he died way too early. They should have built him up more. I thought he was pretty cool. I mean, he's kind of a stereotypical, I'm evil, but, you know, he was interesting. I liked his, like, fighting styles, like his fighting style with the lightsaber, but they never really went into who is this guy. Like, he didn't get any chance to his character develop. Like I said, he was just an evil man with no reason why. But, like, is he a Sith? Is he not a Sith? Is he, like, a half Sith? Like, what is this dude's deal? Why does he have a red lightsaber? Why is he working for Darth Vader? Guess what? Don't know. Now he dead, so we don't actually know what was his deal. I feel like that's a wasted opportunity. But, I think going back to what you said, like, kind of when Tarkin came in, that was, like, the turning point for you where, it kind of picked up. I think the episode that, like, the first half of the season for me was very slow. The episode where Ezra and Kanan go to the Jedi Temple on, what is the planet that they're on? I can't remember what it's called. Do you remember?
I can't remember the name.
Whatever planet that, like, the whole show basically takes place on. They go to, like, this abandoned Jedi temple there.
Lothal.
Lothal, yes. I thought that was a really strong episode. That was kind of, at first I thought it was going to be cheesy that like Yoda is like talking to them and kind of guiding them through this, but they actually did it pretty well. And that's when you see some transformation in Kanan and in Ezra. So that was cool. The episode right after that had Lando in it, which is, I think hands down the best Star Wars character in the entire Star Wars universe. It is a crime against humanity that he is not going to be, at least I don't think, in the new Star Wars movie. So I am ashamed for everyone who let us down by not including him. That was a really fun episode. They really did a good job with Lando's character. And then right after that was the like Tarkin arc and like the Kanan's kidnapping and stuff like that. So it was strong. It was a strong finish, even though I think it has problems throughout. It was a strong finish for season 1. I want to look forward a little bit to what we might expect from season 2. I mean, you were just talking about, will the Inquisitor come back? I don't think the Inquisitor will come back. But I want to bring this up because we didn't actually mention this when we were kind of spoiling the whole episode. It's revealed at the very end. It's like the last image that Darth Vader is appearing on Lothal.
The Emperor has deployed a more effective resource.
So, and this is a really interesting idea that Vader is on Lothal. Now, I feel like maybe they're kind of shoehorning him in because he's Darth Vader. Okay, whatever. But ignoring that, it's really interesting that Vader and Ahsoka might be in the same system. They might cross paths soon.
Oh my God, that just clicked in my brain.
But does Ahsoka know that Anakin becomes Darth Vader? Does she even know that?
Oh well, that's season 2 finale.
Yeah, like does she even know that?
Right
so
now.
that in itself is really interesting because Ahsoka is hands down the best thing about Clone Wars. Like she's an awesome character. So it's really like that idea is really. As a Star Wars fan, and especially if you're a Clone Wars fan, that's a very tantalizing thing, like a idea to think about if maybe that will happen in season 2. But yeah, I think this season points towards, this bigger rebellion is going to kind of be coming together. We're going to see it form. I hope it's not that like Kanan is going to become like some giant leader and like responsible for forming the whole rebellion by himself or something like that. I think that would be a little cheesy, but
I feel
they're
like
treating
Kanan
that
needs
well
to be
right now. They're treating the
I feel like
formation
Kanan
of the
needs to be
rebellion
the
well.
they need to Kanan needs to be the Han Solo where he's there, he's a powerful force, but he's not like the leader, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I think so far they're doing that. I really like that so far. It's all these like splinter groups, and only now are they kind of coming together. So I think season 2 we'll see a lot more of that stuff. We'll see fleets, because this fleet of rebel ships came in and kind of helped them out. I think we'll see some of, obviously a lot more interaction between these rebel groups. Maybe we'll see some Vader Ahsoka interactions. Tarkin will probably still be around. I mean, what do you think? I mean, well, I guess let's go back. Do you think the Inquisitor will be back in the near future?
My instinct says no, but my writer brain says yes. But instinctively, I think he's not. I think we will see. I think we're going to learn about him, but he might stay dead. Like we're going to learn a bit more about like who he was.
I mean, I hope so.
But yeah, I think that by Vader being there, like he's going to disclose some of that. But overall, season 1, I feel like. As a writer, when you're doing things like this, you're trying to get people to care about your characters as quickly as possible. I feel like season 1 did a good job of making us care about these characters that are on this ship. Like Hera is the kind of the mother figure, like she brings everyone together. What is her name? Let me see. It's Sabine. Sabine is
Mandalorian.
Sabine is this
Mandalorian
armor,
artist.
like what is her deal? Like I want to find out about her. like the characters they've created for this at first were a little like I was like, oh man, this is an oddball group of characters, but then that works to their favor. So at this point, season 1 is done. The Empire has done some truly sinister things, and I care for the people on that ship, this rebel cell. My theory for season 2 I think is going to get bigger. Like season 1 was on Lothal, and season 2 is going to get bigger. We're going to see more people from the rebellion. We're going to see more about politics as far as like, we've got to get this thing going. We've got to dislodge the Empire all that we can. The only thing that worries me, and it is the thing that excites me the most at the same time, is Darth Vader. Darth Vader is a character that has to be, you cannot, like the Inquisitor was so sinister, but once you see him get, like there were a couple episodes where at the end, specifically the Empire Day episode, like if you remember that one, the one with the parade that they like blow up the parade float or whatever, the TIE fighters and all that, like I was looking at the Inquisitor specifically, and I was like, this man is a goofball. Like, he is a...
I mean, he wasn't very good at his job. I mean, as evil and menacing as he was,
good at finding
he
his
didn't do
people.
much.
And he would do a pretty good job of, like, whooping everyone's butt in these lightsaber battles. But, like, he just couldn't maintain order like Darth Vader can. Now, my problem is going to be if Darth Vader shows up and then all this hullabaloo starts happening again, and like, because Darth Vader will not have that shit. He will snap your neck and like force throw you against the wall. Like that's like, he is brutal. And so I really hope they don't like cheese up his character by playing that card too much. But I think that if they need to use Darth Vader sparingly, like he's there now, but they need to use him kind of like they used Tarkin, like he's there, but when he makes an action, it's very decisive, and it's very...
he's the big boss. He shows up when things are really, like, shitty, and he's the one who people report to, and... Yeah, I think it definitely, if they overplay him, it could be bad.
Well, and the other danger is this as well. Like, Vader is a character we know is in 4, 5, and 6. So, no matter who you throw up against Vader, I know they're not going to be able to win. Like, I know the end of this story. You know, so, that being said, if there is a Vader-Ahsoka lightsaber duel, sorry, but if they don't both survive, I think I know who's going to walk away and who's not.
That's true.
So that's something I want them to be careful with. But overall, season 2, I'm excited for season 2, and I think they need to amp it up. Like, okay, we're hooked. We know these characters. We're ready to rock and roll. You have set the stage. Go. Like, show me how the rebellion is made.
Yeah, I think season 1, that's a good way to put it, setting the stage. I don't think it was like an incredible season, but it sets the stage, and I think just like Clone Wars was not that great for the first couple seasons. Clone Wars to me really picked up once we started getting into like some really interesting ideas we hadn't seen before, like diving into the personalities and like the kind of like ethics of the clone troopers. They're like just meeting more interesting Jedi that were kind of outside the stereotypical goody two shoes, learning about the Separatists, and that the Separatists are actually like people and they're not just all blatantly evil, and diving into the conflict and learning more about this conflict that we never really get to hear about. Now, we all know a ton about the Empire Rebel conflict, but, I mean, I think there's a lot of potential there to dive deeper into that. And like I said, I think, like you said, season 1 sets that stage. I hope they just, I hope they don't continue to play it safe as seasons go on. I hope they really dive in and they take some risk and they expand on the Star Wars universe instead of telling us stuff we already know about it, which is, I think, what kind of season 1... They were telling us the same story, except with a new cast of characters. And I hope that kind of changes as it goes on.
Yeah, I honestly think that they're going to do what you're talking about. Like, they are going to take more liberties, get more intense. I think that TV, like the first season of a TV show, is so delicate because that's the breaking point. Like, usually if you get a season 2, like it starts rolling from there and it's easy to get more seasons. But season 1 is like, time to shine. That happened with Legend of Korra. Like,
yeah, but
they
was
said,
there any doubt that a Star Wars TV show is not going to get a second season? I mean, unless ratings were absolutely
if the TV show's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if the TV show's bad, yes. If they had not, I think if they had not done some of the things that they did on the back half of that season, then yeah, if it would have continued, it wouldn't have continued for more than one more season. But I think now they have set up a setting that is primed for tons of stories. Like I didn't even think about the Ahsoka Darth Vader meetup. Like that in and of itself is like a
that's a whole
episode arc.
Yeah, that's a whole
arc waiting
really
to
cool.
happen. And then just the relationship between Ezra and Kanan is gonna be cool to see. I'm excited to see what some of these other what some of these other crew members are gonna do. Also, Chopper is the best droid in the Star Wars universe.
Shout out to Chopper, who is probably I think he is. He's amazing. He's so much better than R2D2. He's like if R2D2 was a total asshole. Which R2D2 is...
He's got some sass.
R2D2 is already kind of an asshole. But Chopper is like a complete asshole. I think my favorite moment is they had stolen this Imperial droid who had like some information on it. And they started like using the droid. And they're like, hey, this droid's pretty helpful. Maybe we should just keep it. And Chopper then proceeds to punt the droid out of the hangar bay, out of the hangar of their ship, and he just like falls to the earth. Like he just basically murders another droid because he got jealous that they were considering having another droid. So he's super sassy, and he's actually probably my favorite character. Like he's probably my favorite member of the crew because every time he does something. Like it's not 24 like constant, but the writers, they do a really good job of when he like shows up, it's like always kind of a moment, and it's either funny or just something like that, and so it's good. I like that. The crew has great dynamics in general, and Chopper is part of that. I love all the characters of the crew. I really like Hera. She's a really cool kind of like pilot type, and it's also cool that she's a Twi'lek, which we don't see a lot of. Like in the original trilogy, almost everybody is human, so it's really cool to see her. And
well, that was more of an effects
well, that's true, but I mean it's cool to see Hera, an alien, as like a prominent member, and she's kind of the one actually who's been doing all this rebel stuff mostly. Fulcrum is Ahsoka, so she's a prominent rebel leader, so it's cool to see some alien characters get the spotlight and have like big roles in ways we haven't really seen a lot before besides Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, so we've talked about every character except Zeb.
Zeb's awesome.
Zeb is...
Steve Bloom.
Zeb is really cool. I want to make sure and shout out to him, but I would say that he is the character who at this point we know the least about. Like we know that he used to serve...
I don't think that's true. I think we know less about I already forgot her name. Sabine. We don't know anything about her.
Yeah, that's true. Both of those characters are really...
Some of his backstory got shown. It was like something, he's like the last of his race. The Empire like enslaved or eradicated his people or something along those lines. They talk about that in one of the earlier episodes. So that's like kind of why he's a rebel. He like hates the Empire because they did that to his species. Besides that, yeah, we don't really know a lot about him. He's the kind of the muscle of the group. He's voiced by,
Steve Bloom,
voice actor extraordinaire Steve Bloom, who also does the voice for I think 90% of the show's Stormtroopers. So that's kind of distracting to hear him
Steve Bloom all the time, baby.
To hear Zeb like yelling, and then he's like yelling at himself as a stormtrooper is kind of strange sometimes when like those voices are too close together. But I think the whole crew is cool. I am really interested to learn more about Sabine because we don't know much about her outside of her. She's a Mandalorian graffiti artist. There's plenty to explore for season 2. If you had to give season 1 a grade, what would your grade be?
You mean like a school
Yeah,
grade?
like a letter grade. If you had to like rate this first season of Star Wars Rebels, what would your rating be?
Now, I am using the plus and minuses as an option,
Okay,
but I'm
solid.
going to use a straight B.
Okay.
Because it was originally a B minus, but the end of the series, the last 4 episodes, I think, bring it up to a B. But like I said this before, it is it is season 1, but to me it's a prologue. Like it is
Yeah.
This is the characters, this is what's about to happen, but I'm ready for it to become an A when we start to see the effects of these rebel actions.
Okay.
Solid B. What about you?
Actually, that's pretty similar. I think I will give it a B minus. Same things. I think it's a setup. It served as a solid foundation. But I think obviously there's a lot of room for improvement. But the building blocks for I think something that could be really great are all set in place. So I'm excited to see where it goes in season 2.
Yeah, I have to say that of everything they did, I think the thing I'm most proud of is Tarkin, specifically because, and I've said this on the last podcast, when I first saw Tarkin when I was a kid, I was very confused as to why he was able to talk to this amazing, awesome villain, Darth Vader, the way that he did. And I was like, what gives him the right? Like, he's a normal dude. But in Star Wars Rebels, I think they've done a good job of showing just why he is a leader of that entire Imperial army, because he is ruthless and he gets it done. So that's cool. I'm excited to see that kind of character development in the, like, I think Lando's going to come back and we'll see some more of that. So that's what I'm most excited about. But specifically Grand Moff Tarkin bumped my B minus up to a B, just because if they can do that with more of the villains, I think it'll be really great. So we'll see.
All right, so that's our Star Wars Rebels Season 1 discussion. We would love to hear what you thought about Star Wars Rebels, or any comments about our opinions or our ideas for maybe what they could do in Season 2. You can send that all to fanboyexplosion@gmail.com, or you can tweet us.
Tell us your favorite character. Tell us your favorite character and why so far. I'm sure it'll change. But yeah, send that to fanboyexplosion@gmail.com.
I mean, my favorite character is by far Chopper. So there you go. That's
you like
mine.
Chopper pretty well?
But yeah,
you see, that was a trick question. You were supposed to say Lando.
Oh, Lando's my favorite side character.
No, it's done.
Okay, but yeah,
done.
you can tweet us at Fanboy Explosion, and you can follow me at CLK Gamer. And we talked about your handle a little bit earlier.
At Darth Turner.
Yeah, and so that concludes another episode of the Fanboy Explosion podcast, and we will see you soon.